Camp.
Camp.
Go.
Camp.
I've learned how to use it now. Hey everyone, welcome to the Queerie.
It's a very exciting day on the pod. We are serving up a dish of Henny Spaghetti today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
I'm just a little girl and I'm so happy to be here. Oh my God. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So you're a household name in the Brisbane drag community.
Some fucked out households, but yeah, sure.
So it's such a thrill for us to have you on. We're
An
excited.
honour, in fact.
An honour.
An honour.
I'm all blushing.
So let's get this bitch rolling with the usual.
I knew it was coming and I somehow loved it even more.
With the usual questions. So what are your pronouns and what names do you go by and when?
Usually just she, they. I feel like it encompasses all the stupid bullshit that I do at all times. Really great on the swearing also as well. So apologies
I love it.
for
No, swear the house down.
Yeah, just she, they is usually fine. Anything amongst that umbrella. I'm not someone who gets too affected by having any sort of trauma or anything linked to pronouns being incorrect. But yeah, just that. Henny Spaghetti is fine, even though we're in boy mode today. But yeah, Henny's fine.
Cool.
Speaking of Henny, how did you choose that name?
It was kind of like a combination of a few different things. The first one was on like season 9 of Drag Race, I think. Aja was on there, and she was my absolute favorite. She was the reason I started drag. She did a performance of Give Me Tonight, and it was just the stupidest thing I'd ever seen. And I was like, I need to do that. And then she would end all of her posts being like, blah, 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 and that's that on that, Henny Spaghetti. And I was like, that's a great name. And then I would also, I live with Stephanie Stefani, but before we lived together, we would call each other Henny a lot. Yeah. Just as like I think like a Stacey Lane Matthews.
Yeah.
And it kind of went from that to then me being like, well, what if I was Henny Spaghetti? And it kind of fell into place from there. It was either that or Gloria Clitoria.
Leave. You need to leave right now.
It was so great to be on. Thank you so much for having me.
I kind of like it.
I can't.
It's definitely something that is a thing.
Yeah.
It sure is a name.
It happened. It definitely is there.
I like the Gloria part.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think Gloria is a good drag name.
I think we dropped the Gloria.
Just the Clitoria.
Clitoria.
Actually,
I mean,
we might be onto something.
Perhaps
We might be onto something.
I like it.
I'm on the hunt for a drag name. So
Yeah, we found it. Clitoria.
Clitoria. Yeah, that's it. Period.
Oh no.
And you just
You have to put that on your Instagram bio.
I
now.
know.
Drag name Clitoria.
name's Clitoria, and you only wear hoodies.
Nice.
Bye.
You are the clit.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's
are
not that
the
hard to
clit.
find. She's right here.
So what inspired you to start drag, and why did you pursue drag over other creative outlets?
Well, we can go the fun answer, or we can go the real answer.
Give us both.
The fun answer is like, oh my God, I just love doing theater and blah, 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 blah. And the other answer was I hated my life, which was very understandable for someone who had just come out of like high school and was like queer and not understanding what life was and wasn't really aware of what they wanted to do with their lives, I guess. Third person speaking, how gross. But I did theatre for like all of my high school everything, but I've always been a bigger person, so the idea and the option of like actually seriously doing like acting or theatre or anything like that was always something that I'd be like, that would be cool, but I don't really have the pipes for Tracy Turnblad, and that's probably the only role we're going to be getting for a while.
Yeah.
So
Which is so fucked.
It
just on a side
is a
note.
fucked industry.
yeah, so I just was like, I'm not fit for the theatre industry, and I think my whole life I was in like a musical theatre class at school, like in high school I was in a musical theatre thing, and there was no anything else, it was just all dancing. So I was always around thin little dancer girls, and I never had sort of, I was never them. I'm not built like them, that's not who I am, but I always loved performing.
Yeah.
And then I left school, went to uni, did journalism, fucking hated it, because I just did it to do it.
To
Yeah.
do something, yeah.
I had some like medical stuff in high school and was just like, I just need to get into university because that's what you do.
And you get the
go
pressure to
university.
go to uni. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I like met my now roommate, who's my best friend in the entire fucking world. Wait, no, that's future on. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, oh my god, I went to uni, hated it, broke my ankle.
Oh.
Ended up in a wheelchair.
Oh my God.
It's like it just is the strangest little story.
Wow.
Broke my ankle, ended up in a wheelchair. Broke my ankle, sprained the other one, so I just couldn't walk for like 6 weeks.
Far out.
What's wrong with the ankles? God.
It was not a good time. Really embarrassing. I fell down.
Oh no.
Oh no.
This one's for the clips. I fell down 3 steps at the Narang cinemas after watching the film Suicide Squad.
Oh no.
That is not a movie worth
iconic.
breaking both of your ankles for. I can tell you that much.
Oh God.
And I went to Griffith University at the time, and it was such a hilly campus and was
Oh,
not
no.
very accessible if I had to go there in a fucking
Of
wheelchair.
course. And
Yeah.
it really
Which-
affects everything.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't in the mindset of like, this is actually something I want to be pursuing, I wasn't doing particularly well. I was getting by. I started like watching like little makeup tutorials. And then I was like, oh my God, this RuPaul's Drag Race show sounds so interesting.
Had you never watched it before?
No. Well,
When was this?
it
Straight out of
wasn't-
high school.
this was 2016, 2017. I graduated in 2015, did a year, hated it. And then, 2017-ish, 2016, 2017-ish. It wasn't as accessible to watch back then, though.
Okay.
It wasn't on, like, Stan. It wasn't on Netflix. It was... I watched it through a Mexican Facebook group. And I wish I was joking. It was like Drag Race El Mexican.
Oh, wow.
And I like found it through there and like would watch it at uni and be like, oh my God.
Probably getting like 7 viruses.
Oh my God. That thing was running
gee.
slow. But yeah, like found that through there and I was like, this is cool. This is something I'd like to do. And then it all kind of just progressed from there. And then I would do like... saying it now sounds so cringy. Just being like, yeah, I do drag makeup on my Instagram lives. But like when I wasn't good at it at all, didn't cover my eyebrows. I would just put like white concealer through them.
Nice.
I love that.
And my now
Crispy.
roommate and best friend in the entire world, they do drag under the name Stephanie Stefani. I'll show you pictures of them later. You'll cream your jeans.
The most gorgeous human.
Oh, really?
Just for
I was
no
thinking-
reason.
Yeah,
Just
literally.
out here. Just absolutely the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Would like join on the lives because we went to high school together, but we were in different grades. So by this time they had just graduated and I was doing these lives and they were like, oh, you're kind of cool. And I was like, you're kind of cool.
Let's be friends.
Let's make this
And
happen.
have just like, life has just kept us together. for,
Did they
like, the
already
last-
do drag as well? Or no? So you kind of
we
did
both
it together.
started at the same time.
That's
We'd go over to his
awesome.
place to watch Drag Race. We'd all like sit in front of the mirror doing our makeup and like be like, this looks good, this looks good. The photos
Did not look good.
suggest otherwise. They were truly something, but it was just like a really nice experience to have like a group of people from the
Yeah.
go. But I was like working at fucking Uniqlo, I think, fucking hated it. Would do like shifts there to like pay to just go out on the weekends and like go to the gay club and see the gay people.
Yeah.
And oh my God. And like I didn't understand why I loved it so much.
Yes.
And
Same.
like
You're an
I
ally.
knew I was queer and I knew I had an understanding of that from a very young age, but I think I definitely have more of a term of like internalized homophobia about it all in my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'd go to these clubs and be like, this is so crazy. I wonder why I fit in really well and have the best time
I feel
here.
so
Yeah.
comfortable here.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And I became friends with one of the drag queens that worked there who just so happened to be BB Gunn.
Oh, cool.
So then
The best one.
Yeah, so then she was like, you're my drag child, and I was like fucking sick. And then did no gigs there, but still had a great time and still rocked up in drag and still carried on in hoo-ha. And unfortunately it closed. I never got to perform there.
Oh, no.
But I did always do a split for a bar tab. So life finds a way. And honestly, from there, it just kind of snowballed. I kind of started, like, when I would go out and drag, I was like, yeah, cool. This is fun. I'm receiving attention, and it's not like, oh, you fucking big bitch, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's in a way of, like, admiration and appreciation, and it was really interesting. And then I was like, I have to perform, I have to do this. Then I did it all, and it went well, and it's gone well, and it's been a fucking ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been
And here
really
we
cool.
are.
It's every time I like think back on it, like even just saying that now, I'm like, if you told, I recently did like a little, I am a part of a Shrek themed burlesque show.
Yes.
We are aware.
But if you told like Renee in 2016 that she'd be performing for 15,000 people in the span of a month and a bit, like,
How?
what?
Yeah.
Like to go
It's
from
so
like,
crazy how life works.
it's just been insane, like going from like doing again a split in a bar for a free drink and having like literally having to like be like,
Humble beginnings.
hey, can you give me a lift home? Like that would be so cool, wouldn't it? Like in a shitty little wig and a fucking city chick pair of, oh my god, it wasn't a good time.
Yeah.
But to go from that to like being paid and paid for to like go around the
Tour.
entire country,
Yeah.
like that's insane.
Yeah.
And so it's been really cool, and yeah,
And that's really cool because that's so theatre, but also drag, like mixing together.
that was like my
it's
favorite part of
perfect,
it.
yeah.
Was like actually getting to see and take the knowledge I had from theatre and like the training from that of like understanding how different sort of parts of it work and like, you know, just even understanding like
Backstage
finding your
and
light
things.
and or etiquette
Yeah.
and things like that.
It's
And,
cool
like,
to have the two worlds intertwine.
exactly.
together.
So that was, and it's not something that happens very often. So
No.
I'm very grateful.
It should happen more though. We were talking about like there's a few drag queens that we've had on who do these big professional like stage shows and things, and it's really cool because you get to see it like be the art form actually be appreciated in like a big professional sense.
Setting. Yeah.
That's
Completely.
becoming more
That's not like a
mainstream
little,
as well.
you know, makeshift stage in the Wickham Beer
like
Garden.
it's taken really seriously. People are paying money to like really come and see like an art and a show, and so that's really cool.
It's definitely really interesting because there's both a feeling of like yes with it, and there's also a feeling of like sometimes in some contexts actually no, this isn't going how I thought what I was doing. It's definitely really cool, but I feel like sometimes drag is losing the like filth, stupid bullshit aspect of things.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that like I can get work and I can do this and I can do that. But if I want to be like a dickhead for 5 minutes or like do something that's like a bit shocking, it's so interesting to see the like when people, or you just get a message from your friend and they'll be like, do you think this is too much? And it's like, oh, it's fucking drag.
Yeah. It's not that serious.
Let's not make it like a, you know,
Yeah, just
it has
like
boundaries. Let's just
yeah.
let it happen.
Yeah, I feel like that comes with just the way that social media is going. Everyone's afraid to do something.
And when things become
That-
more mainstream and they're more out there,
Yeah,
it's normal
people
to then.
people are afraid to be cancelled, so we don't want to say anything that is going to be taken the wrong way. So everyone is so cautious about what they're putting out there because they don't want to be perceived in a way that's not what they meant. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's an interesting thing, the expectations that drag queens are supposed to be good and nice people. Like that's not real. Like I remember when I first came into the scene, like I would do gigs and they'd be like, oh, now like my favorite thing in the world is a fucking drag queen who's been doing drag forever.
Yeah.
And has seen everyone and knows everything and just wants to tell you about it. I will sit there and listen like a fucking dog. I'll just park up and I'm like, yes, 100%.
Tell me all.
And I'd just be like, oh, fucking darling, you're fucking lucky you started when you did. I remember when girls were pissing in wigs. And you'd be like, yeah. Bring that back a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to get punched.
Yeah.
I don't, but like I think it's so interesting that drag is kind of expected to be a bit like, oh, I'm just a pretty little girl.
Do you
blah,
think
blah, blah, blah,
Drag
blah.
Race has influenced
I
that?
was literally about to ask that.
100%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heaps,
Yeah.
big
But
time.
like you said, hard balance because it's great that it's mainstream, 'cause more opportunities.
yeah.
But also the mainstreaminess takes away, like the grittiness
Yeah.
of
Like
it a bit.
I started like seeing queer things through Drag Race, and that was how I discovered my sexuality, etc. And I remember I went to a whole bunch of performances by drag race queens that came here on their tours, and that was the extent of like drag shows that I'd seen was Drag Race, and then those queens coming to Australia for a tour, and then COVID happened and they weren't touring anymore, and I was like, I need this still, like I need to see drag, and I came to Fluffy, and that's how that all happened. And so I saw it and I was like, this is not Drag Race. And I loved it because I was like, there is so much more. Like there is so much variety, and it's not just a pageant queen. Like there is so much more than what is shown on Drag Race. And that's when I sort of fell in love with the local girls and sort of drifted. I still like Drag Race, but I drifted away from that a little bit because I just was like, it's not showing everything and I want to see everything.
Yeah, completely.
And so when I go to Fluffy or I go to any queer space and watch a show, it's so different to what's being presented on TV. And I love that so much more. Like it's incredible.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Drag Race is a really good jumping point to be like, oh, like queer history, queer this, queer that. Like I'm interested in seeing drag, but a lot of people, that's where their effort and intent stops. Yeah. And I get it to an extent because I find that drag is such a hard thing to be able to access sometimes for some people. Yeah. But also it needs to be. Yeah. Because with drag, it's not all, it's like, even though I'm a woman who does drag, when I'm in drag, that's not what Joe Blow down the street sees. He just sees this old fucking, who's the fucking that? Yeah. Like, so if drag was, like drag to an extent has become more mainstream, but it will never be, from my understanding and from what I can see, it'll never be truly in the mainstream, in the zeitgeist, in the way of like other, like I will never be able to walk down the street in drag and not get a look. Yeah. And if drag was more accessible to the point where I've seen some people be like, why don't drag shows start at this time? And it's like, do you really want to go to a gig that has all the fucking like CBD bros walking in and going, oh, fuck's this. At, like when you're doing a drag bingo, because I've done it. It's not great. No. Wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, when you're at a drag brunch and there's people pressing their faces against the glass and you're like,
what is this crazy
leave my space alone.
Do you find that the audiences that you've performed with react differently to AFAB performers?
I think I have an interesting experience with it because sometimes people don't know. And when I first started, I've become a lot more relaxed on it now. But when I first started, I didn't want people to know. I was like, I'm not going to get bookings. Right. It's not going to happen for me.
Is that because like you watch Drag Race and there's not a lot of representation on that, or
no representation?
Yeah. There was one. She went home though. Yeah. It's more of a context of, I think that it was just, there was no one else like me. There were people who did drag as someone who is an AFAB. So people like Richie Lestrange, Archie Arsenic, Solar Flare. But other than like Archie, I'd say they weren't doing, I don't know, they weren't doing, not even other than Archie. Archie was working. I was going to say more in terms of working, but they weren't doing conventional like drag queen drag, if that makes sense. Where I wanted to kind of be like a little bit fucked out, but not like a person, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like not a person, but like more like I wanted to be a drag queen.
Yeah. Traditional kind of
more so? Traditional, but still like a bit weird and a bit off. And I was like, I kind of have to pretend on stage and not, if you go back and look at my Instagram, like half of my costumes like would always just be up to here. Like I'd never have anything out there. I actually had I think we're going to talk about SmackDown later, but I had, after I won SmackDown, spoiler alert, I had to do a show the week after at the same venue. And I did the show, came off stage, and I'd been on the mic, so I'd been talking. And I was at the bar, and this guy comes up to me and he goes, oh my God, hi, I voted for you in SmackDown. You won. Oh my God. I wouldn't have voted for you if I knew you were a girl, though. I thought you were just a fat boy.
Oh my God.
And I went, oh, fuck, all right.
Wow.
Thank you so much for the shot, though. So that was cute.
Really fucked up.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and when I worked on, like, the Gold Coast, I had was like introduced as being like, you might notice there's something a bit different, and I was like, yeah, tits.
Yeah, but like, why?
Why are we talking about it though? Why does it matter? I hate that shit so much.
It was so consistent. It happened all the time.
Oh my God.
And until I won SmackDown after that, it stopped happening.
Yeah, right.
But I did also have like a whole thing of like when I won, this fucking crazy person went around and was like, rigged. She only won because she's a woman. Blah, 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 blah. And then
It's not because I'm talented or anything.
No,
it's just
it wasn't because of the
literally
fucking.
because I have tits.
Yeah, it wasn't because of like the 6 months of the competition we had to fucking do.
Like what?
And then she made this big fucking Facebook post and was like, women shouldn't do this. It's disgusting. Da 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 da. And the one moment I knew I was going to be okay was like everyone in the scene that actually I gave a fuck about came to like my defense and was like, this is gross. Stop being gross.
This is a question that we ask everyone who comes onto the pod. What makes you most proud to be queer?
I love queer history and the depth of things behind it and being able to like talk about it. And I'm not saying I like know everything, but I like when I meet someone who's like, I had a coworker who was very freshly out and fairly like early 30s. And had like a religious family and all this stuff, and just like even being able to talk to him and be like, oh well, this is this and this is this and this is this and this is his this, and him and be like, oh wow, because I think it's just so interesting that queer history is so apparent and beautiful and something so amazing, but it's almost hidden from the mainstream in a sense. So just knowing about things like that, and like even like little things that like things like what bandanas in particular pockets mean, like the hanky code. I'll show you later. It's lit.
Please do.
As like a queer fetish thing, because when like gay men were clubbing, they couldn't be like, I'm homosexual, because they get arrested.
So like inside knowledge.
Yeah, so like if you had a particular coloured hanky in a particular, like a bandana in a particular coloured pocket, it indicated a different thing. And it's very like very fetishy orientated, but just little fun facts like that.
Yeah.
And I like knowing that like I'm a part of a community that has a history and that has...
It's like a rich history too.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I recently went to... This is a really cute, heartwarming story about me sobbing. I went to... When we were on tour in Melbourne, we had a free day and I was like, fuck yeah. They had a full queer exhibit at the National Gallery of Victoria.
Oh, cool.
And I went in, and the first room was like an AIDS memorial sort of room with a bunch of art from like the AIDS era and things like that. And I was already a bit like, oh fuck it, because if you want to make me cry, just start talking about all of that, and I'll just be like, but then I went into this other room which was more about like different sort of cultures and that sort of thing, and there was a kid there with his mum and this other woman with kids, which also like seeing a kid there with his mum in a very, very explicitly queer exhibit was like, wow. Then this woman went up to the kid and was like, oh, I like your, like, he was wearing a badge or something. And he was like, oh, thank you. I'm Alex. I'm blah, 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 and I'm trans. And da 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 da, I'm a trans man, I'm a trans boy, and da 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 da. And the two mums were sort of just talking about it, and I was just kind of standing there looking at a painting being like... and just like eavesdropping like a bastard, but just like crying. It was just one of the most beautiful moments of my life, because I remember when I first like would even come to Brisbane and I'd go to West End and I saw a gay couple holding hands and I was like, it's showbiz, we're in the big time. But just seeing like a kid who honestly was about 10, 11 have not only such a clear understanding of who they are, which is truly something I even struggle with to this day. It's
me too.
But it's fucking just having an understanding of who they are, having a parent be so public and supportive. And I was just bawling my eyes out, and then I kind of like looped around and she was like leaving with her son, and I was kind of like, just really quickly, sorry to like interrupt and sorry to eavesdrop, but thank you so much. And she was like, for what? And I was like, for just loving your kid and taking care of him. And I like looked at the kid and was like, you're gonna have a really beautiful life, and I'm so sorry, this is so weird, but thank you so much. And she was like, I'd be a terrible parent if I didn't. And I'd be like, yeah, true, but thank you.
But I mean, a lot of parents don't
Yeah,
support
like
that,
it's
so-
just it was. Oh my god, why am I crying? It was. We had to do a show that night as well, and I got to the theater and everyone was like, "How's your day?" And I was like, "It was so
Emotional
beautiful." So that was really lovely, and just like that's what makes me proud to be queer is like being able to understand the gravity of moments of that in such a personal way.
Yeah.
And yeah, that like whole exhibit, if I don't know if when it runs to, but if anyone's in Melbourne,
Yeah, I want it to
That's
come
amazing.
it's Brisbane, babe.
here. Yeah.
I went down to, I was walking down like, I was with Betty Rose, who's another exceptional AFAB drag queen, and Linda, who is Miss Drag Nation Australia.
Wow.
Superstars. They're coming up here for Rumble. Oh, plug that. Rumble. Come to Rumble. August 28th. It's going to be really fierce. But yeah, we were just walking through like Fitzroy, I think. And they're like, yeah, that's the gay kebab shop. And I turned my head and there's just pride flags all over this fucking place.
Gay kebab
Like you
shop.
just walk down the street and there'd be like all pride flags and this and that. And just little touches of like, we're so
Queerness.
far behind here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It really didn't hit me until like,
Yeah.
and not to be like Melbourne, like every fucking Brisbane queer person is, but like Melbourne. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. But yeah, I've gone off tangent, but yeah.
No, that's
No,
beautiful.
just-
That's a very, very good
I love
answer.
being gay and I love being queer and I love knowing that I'll always have a community.
Yeah.
And I think it takes away, it gives life a weird sense of purpose to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that like, if I can be visibly queer and someone who isn't visibly queer can see me be visibly queer and that does something for them, then I've done something with my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm going to have kids. I don't think I'm going to, I'm not going to have that traditionalistic life. And I know that now, but even coming to terms with that is such a weird thing to sort of
It
address.
is.
That,
Yeah.
like, even though I'm bi and there's a very strong likelihood that I'm not going to end up in a heterosexual relationship with a man and have kids.
Yeah.
That's not on the cards for me. And I don't think it ever has been. But just knowing that, like, I can live my life in a way that can make other people live their life.
It's like a purpose.
Yeah. Rather than having to be like, well, I'm just going to dump out a few kids and off I pop. Like, I can inspire the people who are already living and kind of can kind of just like, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Ugh.
That is
It
such a
is.
good answer.
No, it is. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Gay people, I love them.
The best.
Love them.
Well, that's it.
Oh
I
my
mean, do you have anything you want to plug? Do you have anything going on besides
Tell us
Rumble
everything.
or including Rumble?
Yeah, I'll plug Rumble. Oh my God, so excited. I don't know when's this coming out?
Sunday.
Sunday.
This Sunday?
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I can get my calendar. But I was going to do full-time drag, so I'm very booked up for this month. But if you want to see me, I'll be everywhere. I'm doing Fresh at the Wickham this Sunday. So if you listen to the pod immediately and then
Come to the Wickham.
come to the
Right
Wickham.
now.
Listen to it on the way. Fresh at the Wickham. Other big one is Rumble on the 28th with Betty Rose, who's a fucking absolute superstar. It's me and Stephanie Stefani, the love of my life, versus Betty Rose and Linda, who is Miss Drag Nation
Love.
2021 or 2020. I don't know, pandemic. Those years didn't happen.
No.
But it's going to be fucking fierce, and it's got like interstate hoes who are incredible. Like, it's going to be such a good night. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Yeah, we should all go.
And me and Stephanie are doing a very, very stupid little duet.
In love
May
already.
have
Obsessed.
something hippo related in it. Not to leak, but maybe to leak. It's going to be fierce. I'm very excited.
Very interesting.
Do you have any like Instagram or anything you want to plug as well? Or
Follow me on Instagram at Henny Spaghetti. Follow me on TikTok at Henny Spaghetti. I don't really make anything there unless I'm very stoned.
premium content?
Love you, Mum. Yeah, don't follow me on Twitter.
Okay.
And
Good.
because I don't remember what the handle is. And gay rights, I'd suppose. That's an important topic.
That's a good one. Camp. Well, thank you so much for being here. You've actually like enlightened me. Like all of the things that you've spoken about, like even like queer history and stuff, like I'm not super well versed on. So it's really nice to hear about it.
It's definitely something worth just like having not like a sit down, but just talking to older queer people.
Yeah.
And just sort of getting into that. It's amazing.
Yeah. Love
Thank
that.
you so much
Thank
for coming
Oh my
on.
god, are we cheers?
We're going to do a cheers.
Yes, cheers. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, right.